You are listening to the web's number one choice in spiritual growth and development. This is Heart Over Ego Radio, a network of shows to provide you with healing and guidance to improve the quality of your life. Check us out on Sundays with the Everyday Psychic Show. Mondays is the Alchemy Sisters. Tuesdays, Radical Spirituality. Wednesdays is Know Thyself. Thursdays, Transcending Love. Fridays, Rain Radio. This is Heart Over Ego Radio. Check us out on the web at facebook.com and Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, how is everybody tonight? Yay, we're here. I'm so excited to actually have people here. So we have Mandee, who is always here with me. Hello, Mandee, how are you?
Hello, Crystal. I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I am wonderful. And tonight I've kind of told everybody because I'm so super excited to be holding this space with Miss Pat Longo. Hi, Pat. How are you?
Hi, ladies. I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to it.
Pat's like so cool, calm, and collected. You know, Pat, I think it's really funny because I always talk about you and how like forthcoming you are with everything that you say. Like she's such a blunt, wonderful woman, and I love her. The very first time I connected with her, I was such a skeptic, and I was in such a scared space. And the first thing she says was, "Hey, can I call you back? I got to blow dry my hair. It's really humid. And if I don't get this thing under control, it's not going to look like right for the rest of the day." And I was like, oh, my gosh, what did I get myself into?
That sounds like me every day. Every day. I have people waiting for me because something else is always going on.
But see, I love that about you because it's like you just are. It's just you just are. And you're so unapologetic, I guess, for your energy and who you are. And that's just such an amazing thing because for empaths like me, we tend to apologize for everything on this earth. You know, it doesn't matter. An earthquake can happen 10 countries over, and we're like, I'm so sorry for that. And so you're just so unapologetic for who you are as a human being.
I gave up the apologies years ago. Listen, I am what I am, and that's all there is to it. I've always been so busy between having 5 children and then everybody growing up and getting married and having all these grandchildren. We have number 17 coming in the next 2 weeks. So my family is first and foremost in everything that I do. So as much as I'm a healer and that's my God-given gift and I love to do it, I still have a life with tremendous amount of responsibilities that I am a part of. So, you know, if the dog throws up like he did this morning, it takes a few minutes to clean that up. And, you know, or I'm running around outside trying to chase the dog because the dog got loose and he's on the neighbor's property. And people just watch me. They watch me run by. They wait in their cars and I wave at them. And, you know, it's just life. Just life.
I love that.
See,
do you mind if I comment, Crystal? Thanks. We had one of our alchemy sisters, Julia Lyons, on last week, and she talked about how we're kind of meant to maybe have a little bit of chaos around us, and we're all energy and constantly vibrating at different levels. And when she was visiting other countries doing healing work, she noticed that she was like doing a Reiki treatment, and then there were kids playing soccer just on the other side of the fence, and there was, you know, somebody else singing and playing an instrument. And we in this society often want to stay quiet and want to stay put in, and a lot of empaths do that as well and try to be really, like Crystal said, apologetic of their own frequency and their own spaces and whatnot. And I think it's really nice how you can teach us and you're showing us just through that little story what it's like just to practice being present and embodiment and unapologetic. If your dog's, you know, running up the road, it's okay to go get it, and it's okay to disrupt other things that are going on. I think that helps us to raise our frequency a little bit and to step more into our authentic path.
Well, I'm kind of like the Energizer Rabbit. And I don't know where I get the energy from. It has to be God-given because in the course of a day, well, no one would want to actually be in my life because it starts bright and early and it just keeps on going. And I mentioned all the grandkids, so I have soccer games, I have lacrosse games, I have dance recitals, I have babies being born, all the things that go with it, parties, and all my children live very close to me. They're all within 15 minutes, 20 at the most, of where I am. So, I'm it. And I babysit, and that's, if they need me, they know how to get me, and they have to schedule me. They do have to schedule me because of my schedule. I don't rearrange my schedule with my clients for the kids, but although this baby coming up is going to create that for me, I am going to have to start moving some things around. You never know. Babies come when babies are ready. So it's just part of life. It's my grounding, if you want to know the truth. That is how I ground. My family is my grounding. So I'm very blessed to have all of that. But it works. It works for me. And it's probably 25 years of this already. So my oldest is 21, my oldest grandchild. And the youngest is 2, and then the new one on the way. So it's been a busy life. All right, so what do we want to talk about? Let's talk spiritual.
Well, spiritual stuff, yes. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure we have callers who have absolutely no clue who you are. I do talk about you all the time. I already kind of let the cat out of the bag with that. Who are you, Pat, and what is it that you do? Can you give us that?
What is it that I do? Okay. First and foremost, I'm a healer. Okay, the gift was given to me approximately 25 years ago, and just came one night. I was in a class, and my hands heated up. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know it came from meditation or opening up in this spiritual class. I was only there for 3 weeks. And my hands got really, really hot, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And my teacher the following week told me to put my hand on somebody's leg, a woman's leg in the class who had some soft tissue damage from a car accident. And it was raining, and I guess she was aching. And I looked at my teacher like she had 2 heads, and she said, no, put your hand on her leg. So I did. Didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was doing it. Put my hand on her leg, and 2 minutes later, she had no pain. So things kind of spun around for me a little bit, and it just happened very fast. And before you know it, I was quitting my job. I was around the tri-state area. People were using word of mouth, and the Internet didn't exist at that time, nor did cell phones. And, I would go, and I had a lot of faith, and I trusted that it wasn't me, that it was always coming through me, and I didn't look back. I put my hands on them. I saw people heal, and as time went by, I realized I needed to do more than just touch. I needed to counsel and help them find out what caused the physical illness in the first place. And so my teaching began, my counseling began, and then healing. And then shortly after that, I thought to myself, well, if I could help people heal this way, why don't I teach a class? And I will try to help people to heal themselves before they get as far as having to make an appointment with somebody like me. And so that started a class, which started another class, which started another class, and then it was another one. And next thing you know, I was teaching 4 classes a week and meditating people. And the next step was I noticed when I meditated them, they would go into these amazing places, and their spiritual gifts began to open up, much like mine did. And I began to do hypnosis then. I studied it, and I said, okay, let me put them under hypnosis because some of the pains and hurts are coming from past lifetimes. So I did that, and everything was for healing. Surprise, surprise. I was able to heal many emotional and some physical traumas through doing past life regression. And I gear it my way. I gear it towards healing. It's always about healing. And now I wrote a book. So I needed a bigger megaphone. So I figured if I put it in a book, it would get out to more people in more countries, and more people could heal. So that's kind of a little bit of what I do. I guess there's a lot more, but That probably answers the question.
Is the book out yet? I know you had mentioned
the book
before,
came out last
yet.
week. It came out last week. It came out on the 27th. I think it's still being delivered to some people. All the pre-sales. This was like on pre-sale from last December. So this coming Thursday, I have my first book review on the book, and the book is The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. And I kind of skipped over that, so I will back up a little bit there. What I noticed, most people that know who I am know that I did mentor and teach Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, as well as many, 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 many other amazing mediums like yourself, Crystal. And but what happened with Teresa was her anxiety was so intense, and I noticed by teaching her when she began to read that her anxiety began to subside. So I began to get a lot of phone calls after she went on the air. And her book went into, well, her show went into 34 countries, and I'm sure the book followed. But because of that, 34 countries were reaching out to me. And they wanted to know, how did I help her open up her spiritual gifts, and how did I stop her anxiety? So I recognized by all the calls from all the different countries and all over this country and Canada and everywhere that there was so much anxiety. It was an epidemic. But that anxiety was all linked to spiritual gifts from my perspective. And that really is what caused me to write the book, because I was already set to write another book on healing. And one of my mediums, one of the girls that I've trained, she told me that I wasn't going to write that book first. I was going to write another book first. And the other one was going to come second. So she was absolutely correct. The anxiety book was so much more important to teach people how to eliminate it and also how to open up their gifts. So that's where I am to date.
So it's kind of funny that she says that. I remember the email, because I actually still have the original email that I sent to you and like everybody on Google. I was traumatized with my experience that actually led me to contacting Pat. My anxiety and depression at that point were at an all-time high. I was suicidal. I was like in a really bad state. And it's funny because I remember Pat, once I finally, connected with her, and she was like, "Oh, you're a medium." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." She's nuts. Not a medium. That's not okay. But anyway, I remember her telling me to watch the show, watch Teresa Caputo. I hadn't watched her up until that point, actually. But I noticed there were a lot of like things between her and I that I was like, "Oh yeah, like I can't get into car rides. I get sick in car rides. I'd have to pull off to the side of the road because I felt like I was going to be ill. I couldn't be around large groups of people. The anxiety was just tremendous. And so it was really weird once I finally started listening to her, because that's a big part of anything that Pat tells you, listen. I'll just tell you that way, because if you don't listen, it's not going to help.
People kind of get in trouble when they don't listen to me. They kind of get in trouble. I can't explain it, but it does happen, and I do try to express to people that when you are carrying these gifts, these God-given gifts that you agreed to before you came here, you agreed to it before you became a physical being, that when you know you have it and then you push it aside, it's going to come back and bite you. It's not going to work the way that you think it's going to work. So, people like you, and I'm sorry I interrupted you. I want you to continue, but I hear from people like you every week. Just those words, all the words that you use: suicidal, so overwrought with anxiety, on multiple medications. Just some people can't leave the house. They become agoraphobic, and it's so intense. And not to mention the alcoholics and the drug addicted that all started when they were in middle school and high school. These are all empaths. Mm-hmm. The book is all about empaths. And I'm an empath. I just was blessed that I did not have to suffer anxiety. I had other things. I felt people's physical pain. I was maybe I was feeling their emotions, but the physical pain is what I was getting, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. My father called me a hypochondriac. I was always at the doctor, and whatever my siblings had, I had, and then some. So I had no idea until I was much later in my 30s that I was actually picking up other people's pain. I had every autoimmune disease you could imagine, digestive issues and migraines, had all the things my clients now complain of. And it's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. I know that sounds silly, but it is an easy fix if you learn the right tools. All right, Crystal, go ahead. Keep babbling.
It's your turn. It's okay. Like I said, this is about Pat. This is exactly why I wanted you on the show, was to kind of talk about it, because there's so many people, and Mandee I know can attest to this, because she works with other shows during the week. But how many callers and clients do we have all the time that talk about their illnesses and their anxiety and constant I can't, and it's like, that word can't even exist in your life. Take I can't out, because we can. And it's just a matter of like learning the proper tools and finding the proper ways to deal with it. We all can. All of us can. But what I was going to say is that I remember, and it's like her first response back in email was like, "You're not sick, you're psychic." That was it. That's what she said. And I'm like, what? It was like, what? Because I wasn't in a state of mind yet where I could open up to understanding, just like what you have just said. I had been told my whole life I was crazy. I was picking up on, I was a hypochondriac. I was always sick. I was always this. I was always that. And so I literally had been taught, I guess, or conditioned to think that I was the problem in all these situations. And really, it was the first person that saw me for who I was, and I wasn't even ready for that. And yes, if you don't listen to what Pat says, you get in trouble. Because last year I took 5 months off thinking that I was going to go back to medical assisting, and I am just going to tell you, Spirit had other plans. They said absolutely not. Funny enough, it's like there's constant changes. You talk about that all the time. There are constant changes. There's growth. There's all these things. And sometimes, Pat, we don't always understand what those changes look like to us. And so sometimes it's harder for us to see. So, like, how can we hone in on what you have and say, okay, so it just is. It's cool. Let it be. It'll be what it's going to be. How is it that you hone in on that, and how do you teach that to people? Like, is there anything to say or do that can lead people to that?
Well, my biggest line is thoughts become things. And I tell people, if you're going to get a tattoo, thoughts become things right on your hand where you can see it. Because if everybody focused, seriously, if you focused on your thoughts and keeping them positive and thoughts becoming things, it doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. Those thoughts, if you keep pumping them out, they're going to come back. Just like what goes around comes around, or what you sow is what you reap, or the boomerang effect. It all comes back to you, and you don't see it coming. No one thinks that when they're throwing out negative thoughts all over the place, that it's actually coming back, because it affects you in different ways. It affects the people that you love. It doesn't just affect you. It affects anyone that would affect your emotions. So therefore, children, loved ones, parents, siblings, it's going to come back, and different things are going to happen, and nobody gets it. Nobody sees it. I pushed out all that negativity for such a long time, and all of a sudden, their lives are spinning out of control. So if you know people that are that things are constantly going wrong, and they're constantly complaining about the things that are happening, and they have actually become a victim, and that victim persona goes out. And when you put that victim persona out, it just continues, just like a dominoes. It just continues. And everything in your life, you become a victim to this and a victim to that and a victim to this. This person screwed me. This happened to me. And, it's thoughts become things. So you've got to bring them back, and you've got to keep them positive. And listen, life is life, all right? I'm not professing to be Pollyanna, although people called me that in the very beginning. And that's far from who I am. And but I have learned that this is the way that it works. I have learned to manifest positive things in my life. I also know that life happens and things are going to take place, and people get sick and people pass away and people get hurt, people break up. There's many things that happen, but eventually you will see the bigger perspective to each thing. There's nothing that doesn't happen for a reason. And in your case, with going back, attempting or thinking you were going to go back to another situation, the universe will pull the rug out from under you if you do not follow the course that you're set on. And I've seen it, and I've seen it big time. Not necessarily for myself, for those that I work with or clients that have called me. And this is not something you can walk away from once the door is open. And that's not a threat, okay? It just happens to be a fact. We are all here to serve. We are all here to serve. Every one of us came here with intuition. And the way I explain it is that God gave us the gift of life, or however you choose to call. For me, it's God. It could be any different denomination or name, but God gave us the gift of life. He gave us the gift of intuition, each and every one of us. He gave us a guide to help us navigate that intuition, although most people don't know they have guides. And he gave us the biggest gift of all, free will choice. And free will choice is what navigates the whole boat. So, people choose to open up that door and others don't. People are maybe brought into fear in their life, or maybe they're brought into abuse in their life, or maybe religiously this is something that nobody would go near. But I'm telling you, everybody's walking around with some degree of gifts, okay? Intuition, your gut feeling. If I put it to somebody that way, they get it much faster. Oh, yeah, I feel it in my gut. Everybody said that in their life. I don't know how I know, I just know, okay? They just don't realize that it's the intuition that they were given by God or a higher power that is navigating those feelings and those thoughts and those words. And so I don't know, I don't know what I do other than try to help people recognize how to forgive, how to let go of things that are holding them back, how to recognize that we travel in soul groups and we agreed to come here and possibly suffer abuse or possibly be put into a handicapped body or possibly have a theme of loss. Lots of loss. Many people come into this life and they lose one member of their family after another. It's a horrible thing. But we agree to it as souls. And then when it happens, what is our job? Our job is to learn to rise above it and to find something to be grateful for and thankful for in the experience, and to learn from the difficult things in our lives to turn them around and do the opposite of what you experienced. So, listen, you get me on a soapbox, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm just going to keep going because I'm very passionate about what I do. And because I'm so blessed to see people change in a session that it amazes me. And, we're talking about the empath and we're talking about the emotions, but I see physical disease every day. And I see things healed that I can't help but stop and think and marvel at the miracle of someone healing from a cancer or a MS or even physical, like things I can see, such as, let's see, a little girl years ago, and I'll write about her in the second book, but she was only a year old, a little bit more actually when she was brought to me. And she had something called ringed 22nd chromosome disease. Now, I didn't know what that was, and the Internet at that time had just come out. We had gotten our first computer, and I tried to look it up because I didn't know what it was. And looking it up didn't help because when you have a chromosome disorder, and it just means everything gets all mixed up in your body. And this little girl came without a kidney. She was missing one kidney already, and she presented like someone with maybe cerebral palsy, to my knowledge. No muscle tone, mouth open, eyes, lids heavy, couldn't stand up, hold her own weight, or anything like that, and had a lot of physical therapy and occupational therapy, all the things that you get supplied with when you're born with this type of condition. And in 10 minutes, because I had no idea what I was doing with this particular disease. I like to know things, We all like to control. That's not always the way it works. So I caressed her, actually. I caressed her from head to tailbone. She was on her mom's shoulder. And I just did that, and I asked for my guides and my angels and the healing forces on the other side to come through me and into her and correct whatever needed to be corrected. And in 10 minutes, she was jumping up and down, and she was throwing her head back and laughing. Now, this is a little girl who cried all the time. And Dad would have to take off from work just to drive them because the mom had to hold her in the car because she was always crying. And everything changed. And her muscles, her arms, her legs just began to function. Her swallowing, her bowels, everything corrected themselves. Now, not everything was fixed, but that was a start. And 2 months later, I saw her again, and that time her spine corrected, and she was able to hold her spine and her head and look up. And the next time I saw her, she was actually cruising the furniture and walked over to me, and then I did a little healing quickly because I wasn't there for her; I was there for her brother, and then her circulation all restored itself. And her mom told me that I never saw her without her clothes on. Her mom said she was all purple and mottled, and then she was pink that night when she put her pajamas on. So I get to see these things, and I listen. I know it's not me, that's for sure. It's just a job that I accepted when I came into this life. And I don't know where it's taking me because things are getting very interesting as I'm going forward. And maybe we'll talk about that, but I haven't decided yet. All right, hit me with something else. Come on, Mandee, you got anything to say over there?
That's why I was like, Mandee, you got any questions?
I'm just reflecting and enjoying, and I honor you, and I'm bowing to you, and I'm so grateful you're sharing this. And it just goes to show, you never know what our gifts are, but if we don't trust the path that's before us or what our guides are telling us or stay in alignment, then some things happen and disease comes in and whatnot. But if you just show up and you allow yourself to be of service, I was reflecting upon you, Pat, saying how, taking care of your family keeps you grounded, and that made so much sense to me when I was kind of listening to you and looking at the energy, because you're such a light keeper and you're such a light worker and server, and it makes sense that loving and nurturing your family and being of service to them fills you up and makes you feel really good, as well as helping others. And I was just imagining you caressing that baby and all the healing that came through it, and I'm just grateful for it.
I do.
Oh, what's that? Oh, I was going to say, we do have quite a few callers, too. So if you're interested, ladies, we could go ahead and take a caller and see if we can offer some support tonight.
Sure.
All right. Fantastic. Did you want to comment, Pat, before we did that?
No. I just was going to say I can't wait till the next baby comes. And as a tiny background, I had my children. I had 5 children before I was 25. So again, I guess God knew that I was going to have a lot of work to do. And my oldest child at this point is 50, and I have twins as well. I have a 49-year-old, a 47-year-old, and identical twin sons that are 44, and they took a little while to get here. I was trying to get them here, but I kept having miscarriages and more miscarriages and more miscarriages while I was waiting for one of them to decide he wanted to come in. And they're just all amazing kids, and they have amazing kids. And I just am. You talk about being blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so honored to have all of them in my life, and it is the way to, well, for me, it is the way to ground and keep in balance, and then everything else just kind of works. So, all right, let them in. Let them in.
Beautiful. We will let them in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the person who's been holding longest. That number is a 951 area code. Hello, 951. You are here on Radical Spirituality. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, it's Nathaniel calling in.
Hi, Nathaniel. Do you have a question for Pat and Crystal tonight?
I was just wanted to see about a general message or something.
Okay. Pat, would you like to kick it off, or would you like to, Crystal?
Well, Crystal can do the messages. I'll do the healing. Go ahead.
I was like, well, what kind of general message are you hoping to receive? Because here's what I have going on. I actually have them presenting me with a path change for you, which means you've got some different things happening in your life right now. But they're also taking in, and I want you to know that this is your guides talking, not your loved ones. So your guides are actually lifting you right now in their hands, which means to me that you need to be celebrated over the doors that you've recently closed in your life. They're also making me feel like you've actually had a really rough time with closing those doors to put yourself first and actually kind of hone in on who you are and what you want in life. And so they really congratulate you with that. So what is it that you're wanting with this message, I guess? What is it that you're wanting them to provide you, and or what guidance are you wanting? Because there's a couple different ways in which we can do this, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm, kind of concerned about, career and finance, and then, personal life, maybe like a girlfriend or pursuing.
That's why. Yep.
Music.
So they were right. You're going in two different directions right now. What do I put first? Do I put me first? Do I put this first? Happiness, happiness, happiness. And so if we're going to go with job and stuff like that, I'm actually going to have Mandee do that, because that's not necessarily where I'm going in this. They're going in the department for you of taking a time out, okay? They're not talking about your job. They're talking about your actual life. And so that's why I wanted to know what kind of message you wanted, because if we want to talk about you, they're all about you. But if you want to actually know about job changes or love, that's actually more of Mandee's department than mine. The only thing I'm going to tell you about your guides and how they're giving this to me, because they're making me feel like this first and foremost is what you need to know going forward when it does come to your love life. You've had a lot of people not necessarily see you for who you are, I guess, so to speak, and you've given a lot in your life for a lot of people that haven't really given that back to you. And so please just know and understand that what they're trying to get you to understand in your life right now is the importance of who you are and the importance of what you want going forward. And so if you want to put things in a timeline of events for your guides, that is amazing and it's wonderful, because your guides are really making me feel like you just kind of throw things up at them, and your guides need direction. Like Pat said, we all have free will, and that's a wonderful thing. But what I've learned through guides is that sometimes as humans, we human things up a little bit too much, and so we don't really know what direction we want. We throw a lot of things out there and hope that it falls into place. And they're asking you to take a deep breath and really visualize what it is that you want for yourself going forward, instead of trying to look at it for everybody else. Yes, you want a companion. They are not giving me love life. They're giving me companion. And that just means that you want somebody to walk along with you through life, to be there with you, to be there for you, and to find the same things in life that you want going forward. But is that what you need right now? I'm going to tell you I don't think that's what you need right now. They don't always give us what we want to hear. They give us what we need. So, Mandee, I'm going to have you shuffle some of your cards and kind of look at the job and the love for him going forward.
Oh, sure, yeah. Daniel, I saw a lot of similar things for you. You're very much, I pulled a few cards. You're kind of at a big crossroads. I pulled the Tower and a New Beginning card. And it's an opportunity to really strip down the things that are no longer serving you. I hope you've been listening to most of the show, because you are highly empathic, and those are gifts that they're showing you've worked on for quite a while now, and that you're getting ready to up-level and kind of get another notch under your belt as far as controlling your actions and your reactions and what you're giving your time and attention to. They're also showing you've been maybe a little bit frustrated with trying to listen to spirit and listen to your higher self and your angels and your guides. And they're just saying, be patient. They're sending you some really synchronistic messages, some simple things, and seeing kind of number sequences and stuff like that coming through. They are showing there will be a little bit more maybe scarcity for about another month or so financially, but then some opportunities coming. I pulled the Six of Pentacles, some money starting to come your way and some movement there, as well as the Queen of Swords and chopping down some external, I don't want to get into too many personals, but maybe chopping down an external relationship, a previous one that's still dragging a little bit of heart space from you so that you can clear that and open up your heart to a newer relationship coming. So, this is all over the next few months or so. Lots of transition, but they very much want you to tune in with yourself, do your best to look for signs that they're sending you. They also connect with you through music, and it's important to just take a step back and breathe and allow what's no longer serving you to fall away. They're showing you hold on to it a little too tight sometimes, and this is probably something Pat will be able to speak about, kind of the art of letting go and allowing yourself to be open to receiving. Are you still with us, Nathaniel?
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Pat, may I pass him over to you?
Well, yes. Nathaniel, we talked about manifesting before, and you have to learn to manifest your desires, okay? And what I usually recommend is for people to take a list and just simply write down what you desire in a partner in life. Same thing with a job or anything else that you truly desire or looking for. And once you begin to make a list, your guides are paying attention. They're listening to what you're writing down, but you can't negate them. Don't put anything negative down, only positive things. Use relationships from the past and pick the things that you loved from those relationships, whether they were parents, siblings, friends, or partners that you had, and pick the things that you desire the most. And then after a few days, just write it down, make a little paragraph. After a few days, you just put it away. You tweak it during those days and then put it away and trust. Trust that the right action will occur. But the best way to manifest is to continuously remain as positive as you can. When you start to mistrust what you wrote down, or if it doesn't come to you fast enough, all of a sudden you're doubting it. And once you doubt it, your vibration drops and you're going to have to start all over again. So keep the faith. Okay, let go. Mandee said a different relationship that you're holding on to, unless it was crystal. But you need to let go of anything that's on the back burner, because then you can't bring in the person that you truly desire. Or the job. The same. I mean, I just helped somebody manifest a job yesterday, and overnight she had it. So it's how you think. It's not how I think. It's how I teach you to think.
Yeah, I'm working now, but I was trying to get a better job, a better paying job too.
Okay, so it works the same way. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let everybody know my email is patlongo1111@gmail.com. And if you email me, I will send you a manifesting sheet on both a job and a partner. Okay, I already have them written up. I give them out as homework to my clients. So it's patlongo1111@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to send it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much for calling in, Nathaniel. Hope you have a beautiful night.
Hey, you too. I appreciate it, ladies. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye, Nathaniel.
Oh, that was really lovely. Thanks, ladies.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, we can take another caller. I'm sorry, I'm talking, but it's really funny because, like, when spirit comes through, spirit's all about like healing and love and closure and all this other stuff. Guides come through and they're like, let's go, chop, chop. This is what's gonna happen. And it's so funny how they come in so differently from one another, and it's kind of like sometimes they're just waiting to hear from certain people, and they're waiting to talk to them because sometimes it doesn't click with us. And so, like Pat said before, that it's kind of like that gut feeling, and I always tell people, you know, that conscience that you have in your head that talks to you, and you go to a party as a teenager, and you're like, oh, crap, I know this is not the way I'm supposed to do this. This is not right. Do you want to go? Are you sure you want to do this? You're going to be grounded, and you go against that, and you do it anyway. Well, that's your guide. They're really trying to get you to get back on that path, and they're trying to lead you right down, and they can't force you. They can't make you. We all got to come to it ourselves, but it's so funny if you look at it that way versus other ways, because sometimes it's like they're on the other side just rolling their eyes going, okay, this is what she's decided to do. Let's just step back and let her do it. So it's just so funny
Free
how
will.
they come through sometimes. Okay,
Free will.
Andy. Sorry, callers.
No, that's where the magic is. That's what Pat was just saying. You know, we pick a lot of things, and like the room we come through and the time and whatnot, but we have this gift of free will, and the magic really lies within our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. So if we can co-create, you know, we saw for Nathaniel, he had a really nice potential and some really nice opportunities to bring in a new job and to bring in love, and hopefully he takes Pat up, and any of our listeners take Pat up on her offer of sending the manifestation homework, because that is where it lies. And if there's anything that comes from this show, I want people to know that as much as we pass on messages that help people along and give them a boost, the work is ultimately up to them and them, you know, practicing.
Absolutely. Perfect answer.
Well, let's go ahead and take our next caller. Our next caller is calling from area code 516. Hello, 516.
Hello.
You're on Radical Spirituality. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, my name's Anita.
Hi, Anita. How can we support you tonight?
Hi. Couple of things going on. Patty, maybe you can help me. How can I heal from this tinnitus and hearing loss in my left ear, which started a year ago? And if you pick up any information about career, love life, appreciate whatever you can get.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, the tinnitus is interesting because just about every student that I have has high-pitched sounds and ringing in their ears, and they don't have tinnitus. Okay, this is. Okay. I'm not saying you don't, but I am telling you that this is very, very common for an empath. It's very common when your guides are trying to get you on the right page or trying to tune you in. These high-pitched sounds take place, the ringing in the ears. Sometimes it's a tunnel sound that almost sounds like your ear just shut off. You went underwater or you went in a tunnel and you can't hear anything for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then it clears up. There are many different things that people hear with their ears, but they all think it's one thing and it turns out to be something else. So a lot of them even have been diagnosed with it, and it turns out not to be the case. So keep that in mind. I don't know anything about you yet. I don't know if you're empathic, but it's something that's in my book. It's a question. It's in my empath list about the sounds in the ears. So maybe you could ask your angels.
Is there any way to shut it off? Because it's really
well, ask your angels.
Okay.
That's what I was going to tell you. Ask your angels to lower the frequency. If it is them. Absolutely, and I'll certainly be sending some healing while you're on the phone, while you're on the line. I'll be sending some healing.
Okay.
And you said it's your right ear?
My left ear.
Your left ear. Okay, so I'm gonna focus a little bit on that, but I want you to ask your guides and your angels to just back it up and not have it so loud and irritating. And you may be surprised. Okay. And as far as any other insights, everybody thinks I read people. I don't read people. I really don't. I teach them. I teach them how to heal themselves. So if one of you others, Mandee or Crystal, want to answer the question, feel free.
I actually want to kind of start with this. I have a question. Do you have a mother figure on the other side that's actually from mom's side of the family? Because I have a woman who's stepping up. I do have grandma. I know that it's grandma because she's passing my baton back, which means it's a grandmother. But is your mom also on the other side? Okay.
No, my mom's
So I'm going to tell you. Oh, okay. Your mom is still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. So this has to be grandma because what she's doing is she's giving me mother figure. I knew it was grandma because of the passing of the baton. But what she's doing is she's giving me her fingers running down her throat, which means to me that she was somebody who could not speak or communicate with her words prior to passing. She's also taking and she's chasing me down the hill with a boulder, which means that her illness kind of sped up very quickly. Does that make sense? Just yes or no?
Yes, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So what I want to tell you is that the ringing in the ear is actually coming from grandmother, okay? And I'm going to tell you also there's a lot of emotional energy coming from Grandma right now because there's a lot of stuff that you personally have went through in life. She's giving me my roller coaster, which means to me you personally have been on a lot of emotional ups and downs in life. You have suffered a lot of loss. And when we think of loss, we sometimes think of death. And I'm going to tell you that's not necessarily the case. Loss comes when people come and go in our lives abruptly that we don't necessarily have a say in also, okay? And what she's doing right now is she's actually taking and she's cradling you in her arms. And I want you to know she's making me feel like when she was here, she was a little bit of a stubborn woman, okay? And this is not necessarily the way she probably would have talked while she was here, but she's not going to talk today like she was when she was here because she also has changed and grown so much in life. And the reason this is important to you is because right now you're dealing with a lot of family situations that are taking place that are causing you a lot of disrupt, okay? She's actually making me feel as though that you feel very tugged kind of between two different people or two different sides. And she's making me almost feel like you don't know what you're doing because it's kind of like a heart-wrenching situation. You're trying to do the very best that you can, and you're kind of bending over backwards, contorting yourself to make sure everybody around you is happy, and she's wanting to remind you that, honey, you can't do that. You can't make everybody happy. And some of these people that you're dealing with right now really are struggling because they themselves don't know how to really move on and change in life. And you know what? That's just the process. Some of us are we're just who we are. We are who we are, and that's all we're going to be. But she wants you to remember that you were kind of placed in this family role, and this family cycle is the gift in the family. You're essentially the most beautiful black sheep I've ever seen because what she's giving to me is that you were placed here to see differently, to speak differently, to feel differently, to help them grow and learn and experience. And it's not your fault that some of these people can't step out of what they know, okay? So please remember this going forward and know and understand that this is actually Grandma stepping forward to you to kind of be a guide role in your life. And she's also making me feel like she kind of was separated from people by her own free will when she was here, which means that she didn't really communicate the best way that she should have. She's also almost making me feel like she was very opinionated in a lot of ways sometimes as well. And she just wants you to know and understand that you're actually, first and foremost, pay attention because some of the signs and symbols that Spirit gives to you are very confusing for you to see, okay? Because what she's also doing is she's putting her face on strangers for me, which means to me that you'll actually see your loved ones that have passed on in public. So please just know when you take a look over and you see her really fast standing there, please know that that is her. It is a visitation. And it is also the other people that you've lost as well. With that being said, she's also giving to me butterflies, which does mean to me that you will see her in the form of butterflies to let you know and understand when things are really rough for you, that she's around you, and she really wants you to hear that and know that because right now she's almost making me feel like as strong as you are and these walls that you've kind of created to keep yourself safe, it's kind of like you feel very alone in life right now. So please just know that there are people looking after you. There are people loving you. And even though it feels almost like you're in a weird, stagnant space, she really just wants to give you so much love from where she is and let you know and understand that she's changed, she's grown, and she's here with you. Please continue to love Mom where she is because I almost want to tell you that I feel like some of the issues and problems that we're having right now kind of tend to be focused around Mom, okay? And so that's all I'm going to leave it at. I don't want to say any more because it's not the right time or place. Mandee, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sure, yeah. I got a lot of very similar messages. But with your tinnitus, definitely my angels are pointing to a lot of what Pat showed, and it's a lot of your higher self coming through, and your angels and your spirit guides trying to get your attention. The angels are saying they've heard you, they've heard your request, they will turn it down a little bit. They're also saying when you have these things come up and you have these sounds, or even if they're painful or just background noise or whatever it is that comes through, pay attention to what your thoughts were at that time, because they're trying to get you to either release it or to manifest on it and make you aware that this is the energy you're bringing in. They're saying some other things that are going to help with that. They're really wanting you to connect with your breath. They're saying when you're really stressed, sometimes you hold your breath and all of a sudden you're almost desperate to breathe because you have a lot of things you're trying to balance, and that's going to help clear out some of that space. If you can also clear your energy field, if you can do something like light some sage and ask your angels and archangels to clear your energy. If you can take a salt bath, things like that, go outside in nature. It's going to help you to start healing and to start recalibrating that. But know that you're very much spiritually gifted. You do have some changes coming up, and it's important just to make decisions based on what your heart wants most and not what anyone else thinks or might think, and allow it to be for the highest good of all. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling in. We hope you have a beautiful night.
Thank you. So all three of you were amazing. You were right on. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great evening.
Beautiful. So, Crystal, I want to turn it over to you. We've got about 10 minutes left in our show tonight.
Now, see, Pat was right. It did go fast.
It always does.
So, like, what we actually do with the last 10 minutes is, Pat, I know you've done most of the talking, but that's exactly what you're here for. So, how do people get a hold of you? Where can people contact you? I know you gave your website or your email address, but give a little bit more information on how people can contact you.
Yeah, usually most everything starts with my name. You put my name in and it's going to be all over the internet. PatLongo.net is my website. And again, PatLongo1111 is the best way to reach me for appointments. And my website will have everything up that I'm doing. I know I'm heading to Chicago in November, or Lake Geneva actually in Wisconsin, but Evanston, Illinois first. I'm going to be at a theater there, Wilmette Theater, on November 7th, and then November 9th in the Ridge Resort in Lake Geneva, and I will be speaking there. That's a workshop, so it's all on my website, so people can find where I am and what I'm doing. Anybody locally, I have a psychic fair coming up in October, and October 13th here locally on Long Island, and I usually have about 30 mediums and 10 healers and a room full of spiritual vendors, and we do that every several months. So for now, I think, and then my book, of course. The book is called The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety, Simple Spiritual Tools to Find Peace, Awaken the Power Within, and Heal Your Life. And it can be gotten on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, I think Indie Books, Books A Million, Walmart, Target. It's all over the place. And that book is going to take you step by step from being an empath and having anxiety to eliminating the anxiety to learning to tune into your gifts to how to heal yourself, the forgiveness, everything that I teach, all the homework that I give out to people, it's all incorporated inside that book. So when someone comes to see me for an hour to an hour and a half, there's probably about 17 hours worth in the book. I can only say so much in a short period of time, but it's going to be terrific. I'm looking forward to it, and podcasts, radio shows, articles that I'm doing now, and hopefully you'll see me a little bit on TV promoting the book. But that all remains to be seen. Yes. So I have a lot ahead of me, and my job is to heal, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. So my doors are open. I don't know for how much longer, though, so everybody's going to have to get on it. I know that my journey now is going to change once the book comes out, and I expect to do much larger events and less one-on-ones. So we shall see what we shall see coming up. How's
I see that.
Very
I see
cool.
that potential timeline laying out.
Read me, girls.
I see that laying out for you beautifully, Pat. It is. It's going to be nice.
Funny.
And you know what? You're going to teach on such a bigger scale than you can even imagine. Those words, every time you're writing down your words or giving people your lessons, it's going to become timeless. And so, yes, things are shifting and changing, but it's going to be so beautiful. And there's just showing you are going to have some strict boundaries because you're going to get even extra popular, even faster. But just remember, the most compassionate people in the world have the strictest boundaries, and it's going to blossom beautifully. And that new baby coming, have fun with that little soul. That's going to be a fun one to explore.
Oh, I can't wait. But boundaries, you're right though, Mandee. I am the queen of boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'm always teaching boundaries. I am very, very strict on it with my students that you have to keep boundaries in all areas, and you do have to keep some of you have to honor yourself. So it's really important to honor yourself, not in a selfish way, but we have to be kind to ourselves and take time for ourselves and not forget the human part of us that needs nurturing. And so I make sure that I do that for myself, and I certainly teach it. And honestly, when I opened up my doors like that, my to honor myself, that's when all my gifts came forward. So it is important to remember. I was the doer, probably a lot like all the empaths that I talk to. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to tell you their problems. Everybody's dumping everything on you, and you're doing and you're helping, and it's always no problem, no problem, no problem. Well, you have to take a step back and remember who you are, because the empath needs protection. We didn't talk about that tonight, and I know we're almost out of time, but I am going to tell everybody that you need to surround yourself in light. You need to ground yourself into the earth for balance. And I give everybody the tool to put on a very shiny metal vest of armor in their imagination, because thoughts become things. So your bubble is God's white light and protection. Your tree roots coming out of your feet and your tailbone create your grounding. And the vest stops your anxiety and eliminates all the toxins that you've been taking on from others, and it begins to heal your body. So I guess I have to finish with that. Surround, ground, and shield.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's
that makes
funny
so much sense.
Because it's like Mandee knows I preach that a lot now because of you. So I feel like my clients don't understand. I've actually put together your homework, but I made a booklet that goes with it, and I put, because you told me, you said, hand that out to anybody who needs it.
Yes,
I said, okay.
I always say share.
I was like, originally, Pat Longo's information. I've just added to it because there are so many things, because it's like I'm such a visual person, and I was in such a weird place. I knew nothing. I actually knew nothing when I first started out and got actually, talk to Pat for the first time. And so I really I was like a baby, essentially learning everything all at once, and it was like, what do I do? And she says I should be channeling, and what is going on? So in a very short period of time, it just takes a little bit of work on your part to take the proper steps to start healing yourself and listening to, your gut, following your intuition, finding the right way that works for you. Because you can't follow everybody else's way. You have to find what's the fine-tuning for yourself. And for you, that might be therapy to start you out. It might be grounding. It might be shielding. It might be, retreats. It might be talking to other spiritual people, but find whatever works for you and go with that, and let that be your intuition, because truthfully, it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you do. I mean, that's what this is all about. Just find your way and find your peace.
Sounds good to me.
So, Mandee, I know you're still sitting there. How do people get a hold of you, sister?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/ The Alchemy Sisters. You can email me at alchemyascensionacademy@gmail.com, or you can just find me on Facebook under Mandee ELam, Mandee ELam. And I was honored to hold space with both of you tonight. Thank you so much for coming on as a guest, Pat. I learned a ton from you. Thank you, Crystal, for holding this beautiful space. And to all of our listeners, I really appreciate being here with you all.
Well, I had a great time.
Thank you, guys.
What about you? How do they find you, Crystal? You got 60 seconds to spit it out.
Pretty much I'm Crystal, but I'm the Mid Mitten Medium anywhere you look. So, like, I'm kind of like Pat. I've reclaimed my name, and it is now the Mid Mitten Medium. And if you type that up, it'll pop up also on Google. So I'm on Facebook under the Mid Mitten Medium, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere you find me. So that's exactly how you find me. Spirit guides are awesome, and they put a lot of cool stuff on my pages. They talk a lot about a lot of stuff synchronicity-wise with what we're dealing with. So if you just want to get on my Facebook page and look at some of the posts, that's awesome too, because they really are just trying to help heal on, I guess, a bigger, broader spectrum for everybody. They really want to talk to everybody, and so Facebook is a way for them to channel that.
Okay.
Thank you guys so very much. You all have a wonderful night. Thank you, Pat, very much.
I don't know how we got all that in.
It was a large show. It really was.
Crystal's on speed. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.